Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on a Reactor live stream today. This session is going to be an introduction to Microsoft Learn and how we can leverage Microsoft Learn to prepare for our certifications. So today we'll be joined by Lisa Crosby, who is a Microsoft Business Applications MVP. So without further ado, Lisa, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Nadia, and welcome everyone to the session today. What we're going to be talking about is, as Nadia said, Microsoft Learn, how to prepare for certifications. So, we're in a situation at the moment where lots and lots of people are looking to retrain, to recertify, or to get certified in this area, perhaps as a way of starting a new career or to lift the career you've got, add another string to your bow, plenty of reasons why you might want to be doing that now. And so what I wanted to do today is take you through the tools that are available for you through Microsoft Learn, which are all free. Microsoft has made a bunch of content here very freely accessible that you can dip in and out of and work through as it suits you. So as long as you've got an internet connection, there's really very little barrier to getting started with this stuff, which is very exciting. By way of introduction, this is me and where you'll find me. Please feel free to connect with me after the session. I post a lot of content around certifications. I'm particularly active in the Power Platform space, but I'm also working my way through the foundational level certifications across the board so that I also have a sense of those things as well. I'm actually a career changer myself. I've been working in the business application space with Power Platform only for about 4 years. Before that, I had a 20-year career in book publishing. On paper, I'm qualified as a librarian, so I don't actually come from a typical background at all into this. I made a mid-career change. I reskilled in a new area, and I've managed to establish what is frankly a very fun and exciting career journey in this new space. So if you're watching this because you're in a position of having to reskill or retrain, I can't imagine how hard that must be right now in the current climate. I was fortunate that I had the choice to do that, but I hope, please take from this, that it is absolutely possible to do that. I wasn't, straight out of uni going into this stuff. I had a whole other career in something else before I established myself here. So please don't feel like it's ever too late to make a change or to learn something new. So what I'm going to do first is take you through some basics about certifications and Microsoft Learn. And this actually came out of a blog post that I wrote. So if you want to recap any of these things, I've got all of this written down with screenshots and so on as well that you can come back to. Certainly pop your questions and answers in the chat as we go through today. It's a webinar format, so we're not doing a sort of a live conversation, but Nadia will moderate for me, and I will certainly make sure that I pick up any questions there as we go through. I'll sort of check in at the end, and we'll allow time for questions. So pop them there and we'll get to you. So the Microsoft certifications, there's a heap of resources online through this platform called Microsoft Learn, and it's completely free to use. You can use it anonymously, but I'm going to take you through today why it's worth setting up an account and signing up, and how you can use that to track your learning and what kinds of content are there and what you're able to do. So as a starting point, what we've got is this overview page here that starts to take you through the different certifications, and we'll come back to this in a minute. But just by way of introduction with the certifications, there are certifications across all of the different Microsoft technologies, and then there are certifications that sit at all sorts of different levels. So if you look here, you can start to pick out things depending on the kind of role you've got, and certainly within the space that I work with in Power Platform, for example, you can do certifications that are fundamental certifications. If perhaps you're in a business type role or a sales role, you can do certifications that are sort of like a 100 level, an intro certification that is perfect if you want that skill set as one of the strings to your bow, one of the things that you do, and then levels above that take you into potential careers in consulting, potential careers as a solution architect, and so on. But there's something there for everyone. So even if you're coming at this to say, hey, I want to add more skills to what I can do, then that's certainly a reason to get certified and to follow the learning path on something. Everybody bit as much as if you're a consultant or you want to be a consultant, and you should get those certifications as well. So you'll see here what we've got is down the bottom here, and this becomes certified, the fundamental certifications. If you're completely brand new to this, this is a good place to start. The fundamental certifications take you across the breadth of the Microsoft technologies, and those are certifications you can do without having a lot of hands-on experience. That's more theoretical learning, being able to talk about the technology, explain the concepts, being able to position those pieces and how they work together. So it gives you really good as a fundamentals foundation kind of understanding, and can be a good way in. You know, if this is brand new to you, I know when I did my first certification exam 3 years ago, and I still remember how nervous I was. I hadn't done a test or an exam of any kind for, I don't even want to think about how long, my first certification exam. So it's a good way to kind of cut into it and get started with one of those basic ones, and then work up from there. The higher up the chain you go, obviously, the more kinds of roles you're covering, and the more kinds of things that you can get into. But as I said, certainly we go through all of those things. So what I'll do now is take you through Microsoft Learn in particular. I'm just going to bring another window across to my screen here and show you, what the free learning resources are. Now, there's always an option to find, virtual training sessions and paid sessions and things like that. But this is freely available content that can certainly help you go a long way. So there's a short link to get to this, which is aka.ms/learn, or if you just Google Microsoft Learn or Bing Microsoft Learn, you'll find that pretty easily. And if you're coming to it for the first time, you might get this lovely, cute little opening page with the cloud and the and the little document there. And we're just going to click Explore Learn there to get started. So this is the main landing page. You might even land on this landing page depending on what URL you use to get into things here. And this is allowing you to work through different what are called learning paths and modules for things. When you first come in here, though, the popular learning paths and modules, like if you don't even know what you don't know, it's getting started with some of the most common things. So straight off the back there, Azure, fundamental concepts in cloud computing, Power BI, one of the most widely used tools for data analysis, Microsoft 365, covering all of what you may be more familiar with. This is Office 365 services and things like that and so on. So you could just come in here and start browsing and doing all of these things. But what I've found is that if you are targeted towards a certification, you want to find the specific learning path that goes with that and set it up in here. So I'm going to recommend that it is worth creating an account, because what happens, it's free to do this. You create an account, and then every time you come back in here, you can track your progress. You get little badges and stuff if you're into that. And frankly, you can take all the encouragement you can get when you're on a new learning journey. And it will also allow you to bookmark and arrange things. So for instance, at the moment, I'm wanting to work towards a Microsoft 365 certification for the first time. I can find the learning path for that and kind of keep track of my progress. Now, one of the things to sort of get a handle on in the navigation here is just at the top here, this little Learn button. This is where you're always going to come back to. So as you navigate around, you can always get into the Microsoft documentation and some other things here, but just keep an eye on this little spot at the top here, because this is where we can get to come back as we navigate around around the other parts here that are linked up. So without further ado, let's sign in and get started. So the first thing that happens is it prompts you to sign in with your Microsoft account. Now, I'm showing you this completely from scratch if you're already in a private browser, but if you're already logged in with your normal work or school credentials or whatever you're using, chances are it will just auto sign you in and you won't even need to do that. But I'm showing you, with a brand new demo account here, it's actually prompting me to say I've got that. So I've just set up an Outlook account that it's going to take me through that first sign up process as we go through here. So here's my email address that I've signed in. So for you, I'm doing a demo here because I'll show you my real profile in a minute that has heaps of stuff already in it. So you'll use your normal Microsoft account, your work or school account, to get started with this. And we just click next, and it gives you the ability to create your profile. So you can have your display name, your real name, your avatar, nickname, whatever it is you're comfortable using there. We're going to choose a country and a region. I am from Australia, and hello to anyone from anywhere else in the world watching today. And you can also choose to be signed up for updates and things. You can actually change the settings on all of these things later, so don't worry too much. Actually, I think it forces you to do that to sign up, and then you can go back and switch that off. Now, again, you don't have to sign up for all the roles and things. You can just next through this, but it's going to help you if you're doing some things here. So I might come along and say, actually, I want to be an app maker, and I'm interested in being a data analyst as well. And you can always click not sure yet if you're brand new to this. And again, assuming you're brand new here, I'm going to say beginner, and this is where it will help you to pick the right things. Again, what products am I interested in, say on Power Platform and Microsoft 365. So you see there the sort of huge range of things that are covered. And then I'm all set. So it's a pretty easy sign up process. And now what you'll see is that I'm actually signed in here instead of being, with the sign in prompt. I've got my little person icon. I'm signed in with my credentials here. So what I'm going to do first is just jump in and have a look at the profile. And you'll see here as a starting point, I have no badges, no trophies, nothing going on. But I've actually got down the side here the ability to, I'm going to show you how to do bookmarks and collections, but let's just go in and have a look at the settings here, and you'll see here I can change my URL slug there. I can change my display name. You can link other accounts, so if you've got multiple, if you've got maybe a personal account and a work account or something, you can connect those up together. This is where you can unsubscribe and get out of the email preferences if you want to do that. I wanted to really highlight this particular thing here. This is the Global Skills Initiative, and I'm just going to open that link in a new window there. And what this one is a post from Microsoft about an initiative that they're running that is all about helping people to reskill. And in particular, if your role has been affected by COVID-19, if you're in a position of having to retrain or reskill because of that, then there are discounts available on exams. So there's a whole bunch of things there, and we'll pop the link. We'll pop the link to this in the chat window there. But what happens here is that you can say, I would actually like to, if you're in that situation, you're unemployed or furloughed for that situation, switch that little toggle on, and then you'll get updates about that program. Essentially, it gives you, in addition to all of these free resources which anyone can access, if you're in that situation, there's substantially reduced exam fees. So the cost of the exams in US dollars is usually between about $100 and $200 US per exam. I can't remember what the number is, but it's substantially reduced. It's more like 20 or 30 or something like that. So, again, really, removing the barriers to being able to access this stuff, that you can access all the training online. The exam fees are substantially reduced. So you've got to just bring time, effort, energy, not always easy at the moment, but the cost to you is really minimal in terms of financial, and you bring the energy and so on. So we've got a bunch of other things here that we can follow, which I won't go through here, but let's get started here and have a look at creating a collection. So there are two things that we can create here. One is bookmarks, which is just bookmarking individual learning paths. And one of them is collections, which is about saying, actually, I want to follow a stream of work. So I'm going to create a new collection here, and I'm going to call this one M365 Fundamentals, because that's something that I'm interested in learning about, and create that collection. And then what I can do in there is add stuff in. So if I go through here, this will actually take me back to a whole bunch of different things. So I can go through and browse all of these certifications. I can go through and say, let's browse by the different products and so on. But if you're actually working through looking at the particular certification, I'd recommend going in here. So this is set up that you could be following a certification learning path, or you could just be learning particular. You can just grab these particular things as you want to do that. So I'm going to go back and say, let's actually browse those certifications and come in and pick one of these things. So let's see if I can search here for M5. Oops, that's not going to work. Microsoft 365. to using the using the abbreviations there. And there's my certification that I'm looking for, is the Microsoft 365 Fundamentals. And as I said, anything with a 900 code on it is a beginner, entry-level, start from scratch, get started kind of exam. And then from then on, the exams go up sort of from a 100 level as your first technical exam. This is a sort of a fundamentals exam that sits below that. So a couple of things here just in working through the exam content. Once you've got this here, this gives you the details of what the exam is and what the related certification is. So some of these ones, you do one exam, you get a certification. In this case, if I do the fundamentals exam, I get the fundamentals certification. As you work further up into the more highly technical levels, you might have to do 2 or 3 exams to qualify for a certification, and you stack them up and add them up to get those higher level qualifications. So it always tells you that. It also tells you what's contained in the exam, and what we've got here is download certification skills outline. That will actually just trigger a download of a document that takes you through, and it is always worth reading this closely because the Microsoft Learn content is pretty closely aligned with this, but you should always read the exam certification syllabus and understand what is in there. I would also recommend, if you book these things a couple of months in advance, which I tend not to, I tend to go, I'm going to do that in 2 weeks and set myself a goal. But if you book it far in advance, do come back and check, because the technology is changing. The technology has new features added, and the certifications do get updated. So it's worth coming up and just making sure that you do have the most recent version. All right, so back to Microsoft Learn now. What we've got here, the ways to prepare. Of course, instructor-led training is available all around the world, lots of virtual sessions and things, but we're looking today here at the online free content, which is the Microsoft Learn. And what we've got here is all of the different learning paths. So you'll see, for me to get my Microsoft 365 Fundamentals certification, I need to go through here and say, you know, these are the learning paths I need to follow. Just make sure, it usually shows you the first 4 or 5, just make sure there's not a little button at the bottom. For some of them it says show more. Just make sure you pick up all of them. It's a bit of a trap for new players if you don't click the show more button and you study really hard on the first 4 modules and miss the rest of them. So what we're going to do is go in here, and we've got the option, this is bookmark, which will just add it to the bookmark in Microsoft Learn. But I'm going to go here and do this and say, I actually want to add that to my collection. Now you'll see here, I could also have added a collection from here if I wanted to. I'm just going to go through here and save all of those things against that collection. So that's actually grabbing all of those together and putting them in that one spot. Now, remember what I said at the start about navigating back, this very top menu bar, there's Learn, because I've navigated away a few times now into the actual exam content. And I'm going to go back in here into Learn, and that's going to take me back into my main Microsoft Learn homepage. I can click through here to collections and see that, and there we go. Now I've actually got all of those things there ready to start working through, and you can see now it's tracking my progress, which is 0% completed, and I can click through and start working on that. Now, once you're into the materials themselves, you'll find some different things in here depending on the level of the certification and the technology that you're working with. Primarily, this is made up of written content. There are some short videos in there, but it's mostly written content that you go through. But bear in mind that most of them, certainly once you get into the 100 or above level certifications, will direct you to do some kind of hands-on learning as well. So it might say sign up in the Azure Fundamentals, for instance, sign up for, go to the Azure portal and sign up for a trial there. In Power Platform, you go and sign up for a trial environment as well. I haven't worked my way through all of the other ones, but most of them, the 900 level certifications don't have as much of that, but certainly once you're getting into the hands-on technical certifications at consultant and above level, then you're starting to get into that. So really what we're doing here is working our way through. You'll see this is all nicely structured. We've got the introduction and things here. There's a knowledge check at the end. I'll just pick something sort of a little further in rather than the introductory model because it's a little bit easier to look at. We can start this. And we get this kind of content here. Here's my introduction. Let's work through here. So you'll see really nicely, kind of laid out, you're just reading through it. So you can go and you can binge learn, you could do a whole sort of sit down for a whole day and do all of this. Or you could just do it, you could spend half an hour a day and just gradually work through things. So it works really well. You'll see here we've got a little embedded video that I can play. We go through all of the different concepts. So like I'm speed reading here now, and it will take you off into other things if you need to do that. So we'll just keep going through. Now what happens when you get to the end of each unit is you get a knowledge check. Now the knowledge check is not representative of the exam questions. It's just, have you read this stuff? The exam questions are much more like a scenario-based exam question. You are talking to a customer, or you are in a business and you need to achieve X, Y, and Z. Which of the following is true? Which of these features matches? Some of the other exams later on get into case studies and things. So the exams are very scenario based, but it's worth doing you can do the different sort of knowledge check here. So, I'm just going to randomly click some things here to show you what it is. And we say check your answers, and it'll give you those things and sort of help you work through. So this is not a proper test, but once you've got through that, you'll see what's happened is that it's clocking up my experience points. And once I've passed a certain thing, it will actually also reward me with a little badge, which I can share on LinkedIn. I can email to my boss, all of those kinds of things. And I can have a look at my trophy. So I will show you what it looks like. This is my actual. This is sort of like one where I've done some actual learning in here. So for instance, if I go in here and I look at my achievements, then you'll see I've got a stack of different badges. So this is as I've worked through things, I've got a stack of different badges and trophies and things that I've done. If I have a look at my achievements, actually, if I look at my activity here, you'll see that it comes through with, here are the things that I'm working on. So you'll see here are the ones that I've completed. I've got other ones I haven't completed. I can go back into my collections and just sort of pick up where I left off with something. So, if I'm sort of part the way through this, you can see I'm 46% completed on that. I've done this module, but I'm only halfway through that one. I can just jump back in and do that. All right, I'll pause there and see if we've got any questions coming through. Nadia, how are we going in the chat there?
We've got one question that's come through, Lisa. Yep. So it says, MS has already started a practice of Azure fundamentals training. Are there any plans to provide the similar trainings for other fundamental learnings like PL 900 and AI 900?
Yeah, there actually is a PL. There's a Power Platform 1, I know, because I've helped moderate it. It's not as closely tied to the exam as the Azure one, so I've sat in on both the Azure one and the PL 900 one. I'm not actually Microsoft, so I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer whether there are more coming or not. Nadia, do you know?
No, as soon as I was going through that question, I was like, oh, not so much insight on that one, but we will. Yeah.
I'm going to say, without having any official capacity or knowledge, I would be surprised if there wasn't. Like I can't promise you there is, but just from what I see in terms of the skills initiative, in terms of the investment in this platform, in terms of that commitment to get people certified, I would be surprised if there wasn't, but that's not me promising you anything. That's more of a sort of a general direction that I see there. Certainly, if I have a look at the Global Skills Initiative, let me just find, this is my blog post here. We'll just grab the Microsoft. You'll find here, this actually lists the core areas. So I think you'll find that there'll be, the training that will be the most prominent or next to come or easiest to find. So certainly the Power Platform exams are newer than the Azure exams. So I think some of what happens is just a practical reality of exam training lags behind the exam releases. So some of those brand new Power Platform exams are still in beta. So I think there's possibly just a lag time in what's going on there. But if I scroll through this and have a look at this, this is the sort of thing. Participants will have the ability to schedule an exam from September to the end of the year, and these are the paths. These are the ones that Microsoft is focused on. So these are the ones. So as you quite rightly said there is an Azure, sort of that Azure skills training. There is a Power Platform training day, but it's not as closely linked to the fundamentals exam, but honestly, it'll get you a fair way there. It's not quite everything, but it would get you a very big head start. I haven't yet seen the other ones, but as I said, we'll see what happens. But certainly Azure, Teams, Security, Power Platform, and the data analytics stuff, those are all absolutely kind of focus areas.
All right, we've got another one here that says, could you please elaborate on the COVID reduced price of the DA100 exam, analyzing data with Microsoft Power BI?
Yeah, so this is the thing here. Let's pop this link in the just going to pop that link in the chat window there. So this is the fee. This is the detail here. So they're offering low cost. So this is it's actually $15. So I was wrong. I think I was converting back into Australian dollars, where that's about 25 or 30 Australian dollars. So this is US dollars. So if you're watching this in Australia, that's about 25 or 30 for us instead of so it's $15 instead of 100 US. So I don't know whether DA100 is one of them. I think Data Analyst Associate, that might be in there. So have a look at that, follow that link, and let's have a look at, if we go into the certifications here, and let's have a look at role-based certification. So the 100 level will sit in that role-based. Was it DA100? Was that the question? Okay, so Data Analyst Associate is on that list. There you go. I just didn't know that code. So yes, Data Analyst Associate is on the list of the things that they're saying that. So I think that looks to me like that would be included, and that's the detail there of what the deal is to do that.
Cool. Is there an official diploma or certification if you pass a certification course?
It's not an official diploma, it's a Microsoft certification, so you get a badge like this, Microsoft Certified Associate. So if I have a look at, for instance, if we browse certifications and have a look at some of the sort of higher level ones, there's a functional consultant. So it sort of goes from, the fundamentals one, and then into, there's a functional consultant certification, a developer certification, a solution architect certification, but they are certifications of themselves in this platform. It's not associated with a tertiary institution or anything like that, but these are the industry recognized certifications for this technology. So if you want to work in the space with the Microsoft technology, these are the badges. There aren't other ones that are recognized.
Cool. Do you get a trial account in Azure if you're doing a Microsoft certification or course in Microsoft Learn?
Yeah, you can sign up for a trial, but you can actually always get a free trial with Azure, depending on what you're doing. So I just went through, for instance, the Azure AI Fundamentals exam a couple of weeks ago. I'm looking at this one at the moment. The Azure AI Fundamentals, this one here, actually takes you through, if you go through the getting started, let's see, Explore Computer Vision, for instance. This one actually takes you through something where you don't even have to sign up for your own trial. So this one allows you to get started, and it takes you through and says, go in and sign up. I'm not going to be able to find the right thing. Here we go. A subscription, so you can sign up for a free trial here. So it takes you through how to do that. And then there's actually sort of an environment where it gives you some content to work off, so you're not starting completely from scratch. So yes, you can sign up for a free trial with that link. We'll pop that link in the notes as well there. Nadia. So, and again, depending on what you're doing, so even with the free trial, it tells you at the end of the learning path to switch off what you've done, because otherwise it clocks up as your consumption and starts to cost money. So there's a certain amount of consumption included in a free trial, and then you run out of it. So just be careful that if you're doing those things and you've got something running, that when you've finished learning it, that you switch it off or remove it, so it doesn't just keep running doing nothing and using up your trial credits.
Awesome. This is a good one. How long is the certification valid for?
Oh, I'm going to say it depends. It depends on how long it takes for them to update to a new certification. So I will talk to the Dynamics and Power Platform certifications because those are the ones that I know the best, and that's highly variable within there. If you want the broad answer, generally 2 years. Like that's the very sort of broad brush single sentence answer. But sometimes what happens is the technology gets updated, and then what happens is once an exam is replaced with a new one. So some exams get updated with small things. As I was saying to you, have a look at the exam outline because they sometimes update and add, here's a new thing that's added, but it's still the same exam. It's just been updated periodically, sometimes after 6 months, sometimes 12 months, sometimes a year, depending on how much change there's been in the technology, they will get updated, and then it'll say the previous exam is now valid. So you get notified and you can see, oh, your previous exam is now valid until this time. Personally, as someone who's working in this space, I feel like anything that's 2 years old is out of date, regardless of whether the exam is actually still valid. The technology has moved on so much since then that your skills would be behind if you weren't keeping up with that. So somewhere around that mark, but where things are kind of being overhauled and there's a lot of new stuff coming in more frequently than that.
Awesome. And last question, is there a discount code that you need to apply while booking the exam for the USD $15?
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think you just have to state. So I haven't actually tried this myself yet, but if I go in here, I think what it does is when you sign up, you go through the sign up process, and you'd have to fill out sort of a declaration of some kind. So yes, I don't think you have to. I'm not sure they're going through a sort of a very rigorous proof concept, but just go through that sign up process and fill in what needs to happen there.
Okay, so this is going to be the last question.
That's all right.
We're at time. Is there a path to developing certifications such as using Visual Studio or Python development?
Sorry, is there a path to doing those certifications
developing certifications, such as using Visual Studio and Python development?
All right, so I'm not sure what that question means, whether that means someone wants to create their own or whether, I'm going to assume you mean certifications for developing rather than actually developing certifications. So I might have the wrong end of the stick though, in which case, yes, there are certifications for those things. If we go in here, there are all of these bits in there as well with those things. So yeah, it does cover a fair bit of that. Well, I'm not sure if Python in particular is there. It'd be within what's like in the Azure certification developer. So there you go. Introduction to Programming using Python is a certification. So yeah, there are some of those in there as well.
Cool. Well, that seems to be all of the questions. I might just quickly jump in. I'm going to give just everyone a bit of an update on some of the events that are happening at the Reactor. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all. Awesome. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. If you do want to see the events that are coming up at the Reactor, feel free to join our community on our meetup page, so meetup.com/Microsoft Reactor Sydney. You can follow us on our Twitter, and also a lot of the sessions are recorded, so you'll be able to find them on our YouTube channel, usually within a couple of days of the session happening. If you have any questions about the Microsoft Reactor, you're curious about what else we do, feel free to email us at reactorsid@microsoft.com. And also as well, I've popped a link in the Q&A. If you do have some feedback about the session today, please leave it for us there in the aka.ms/reactor/survey. You will need to enter an event code, which I've also popped in, which is 11736. So we've got a few sessions coming up in the next couple of weeks. The next one we do have is Tokenize All Things with Azure Blockchain. So this is going to be an overview of blockchain tokens, smart contracts, EIPs, and how you can get started with Azure. We then have an intro session to Azure DevOps. So using Azure DevOps, you can deploy and deliver infrastructure and software more reliably, and the session is going to show you how. So this will be a really good beginner session if you're looking at diving into Azure DevOps. And again, if you've got any colleagues or friends who had missed out on today's session, or you've thought of questions that you might want to come back and ask Lisa, she will be back on the 29th of September delivering the same session. And this one is going to be an evening one at 6 p.m. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has joined us, and also Lisa, you've got some great feedback coming in how everyone enjoyed this session as well.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent. Thank you for coming.
So if you want to see more of the events, please leave us some feedback. Please also join our community. You can also sign up for the Reactor newsletter as well. So that's aka.ms/Reactor email sign up. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you again, Lisa, for taking us through Microsoft Learn and how we can utilize it to be certified, and also taking us through a couple of the pricing questions as well. So from wherever you have signed in today, enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will speak with you all soon. See you next time.